And we're live.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Big Ben here with the BP Professor, Pain Train, and Earth.
An Ewok.
And Ewok. Where's Ewok? Oh,
Ewok.
I see Ewok.
Hey, don't forget Rig Pig.
And Rig Pig, he'll be here. Oh, look at Rob's got him a little picture. That's good.
Yes. All right. I'm setting Ewok free.
This is our Wednesday show, and we got a lot to cover tonight. We got the raid to talk about. We're going to talk a little bit about the sub situation that happened yesterday. We did a special. If you didn't see it, it's pretty good. And we're going to talk about what Kicksai's planning to do that I'm confused about. Let's hope Larry's got it straightened out because it's over my head, buddy. But anyway, we'll get right to it. Larry, you're going to show us a couple slides with the Reaper situation.
I am. All right, everybody can see?
Yep.
All right, great. So we are going to start off talking about unannounced changes because Kicksai had their weekly roundup of bug fixes and whatnot and didn't announce this one, but I think some players who use their Deluge Reapers found out that they weren't so cloaked anymore. So it was nerfed, there was much complaining, then it wasn't nerfed. Got a link to the Hangout special that not I, but the Crib did on Monday. And the change was rolled back, and now there's some sort of change coming, but a different change. And I think that's about all we can say about the change. I do have one more slide here, and this talks about what happened. Okay, so I'll try and go through this. I show 4 different hulls here: Barracuda with no cloak, Barracuda with cat drive, Reaper with S armor and cat drive, and then a Reaper with retrofitted armor and cat drive. So before the change, all your stealth modifications added up to give you a cloak efficiency. So here the 0% with no cloak up to 97% cloak with a heavily retrofitted Reaper cloak. And then they changed the change, so we've been told, was that the cloaking efficiency calculation went to a multiplicative calculation, just like, let's say, a armor defense. So you took 1 minus the cloak efficiency for each piece of cloaking equipment you have, and you multiply them all together. So, for example, on this Reaper, which I think is Earth's Reaper configuration, his cloak efficiency went from 97.2% to 78.9%. So hulls have a basic visible range, and using this equation up here, I calculated how much sonar a ship would need to detect that sub at 100 range. And the reason I used 100 range is because that's the range of deluges at with Solid Fuel Booster 3. So no cloak Barracuda, you still need sonar with 65 range to detect that uncloaked Barracuda. And then for anything with cloaking, you need a gigantic amount of sonar, more than is realistic, to detect a cloaked sub. But then you've got the deluge missiles firing. So that's accounted for in the equation here. Each one sort of multiplies your visible range by 1.5, sort of. So then this chart shows the 4 different hull configurations, and then the number of missiles that hull would be firing, and what the sonar would be to detect that sub while cloaked. So these negative numbers for the no-cloak Barracuda mean that a ship with no sonar could detect that sub. So a no-cloak Cuda could fire 1 deluge and get away with it. Cloak Cuda could fire up to 4, maybe, if they're driving really carefully. And then you see the cloaked Reaper before the change. With no retrofits, you could fit 5 maybe and fire off and stay cloaked. But the heavily retrofitted configuration, no sonar is going to detect that the way the calculations were originally. So then they made this change to multiplicative stealth, and cloak efficiency went down. And so now things changed. So we'll just go straight to that R12 Cloaked Reaper. Nice hat, Ben.
Thank you. Snowman said I needed one because of my haircut. So
nice. So the R12 Cloaked Reaper is now detected by any ship when firing 7 missiles. Firing 5 missiles may be detected. You could, even after that change, theoretically, strip down to maybe 4 missiles and get away with shooting at a no sonar ship. So that's, I don't want to spend too much time on this, and I probably spent more than I should have already because we have a lot to talk about. But that's what happened, and a lot of Reapers were made not very useful.
Irf, let me ask you a question about this because I don't have Reapers. You know, I don't have any subs with the Deluge missiles on it. So basically, this or how you were prepping, you know, going around prepping, you know, whole guard fleets out. This effectively made that obsolete, or could you still prep some, even though they changed it or not?
No, not with the build that I've got. It was impossible to do it. You could do it by adding an ECM into the equation, but let's be honest, an ECM, how long is that going to stay alive with smart warheads on an executioner, which is retroed? It's not. You're going to get 4 salvos off, and it's going to be dead no matter what you do to it. So you know, it pretty much made him worthless, really.
Okay.
I mean, you can even go into a 51 salvage and do it without being seen.
I know I didn't have a problem with Reapers because I don't run a guard in my base, so they were useless. All right. Anyway.
But anyway, I've been speaking to Doom Rooster today, and he has confirmed that they are not going to revert back to nerfing the stats on the Reaper. So he has confirmed that they've decided because of the community outcry, and thank you to everybody that's joined us and obviously gone and posted on the forum about it, but they have decided that they will not be returning back to the cloaking way that they basically initially put out yesterday. They are going to be looking at a different way of combating the issue, which looks like it's probably going to be some sort of countermeasure for it. Just so you all know. So that comes from Doom Rooster today. So thanks very much, Doom Rooster. Much appreciated for the information.
Cool. So for now, they're leaving it until next week, right? I mean, that's still the plan, and then they're gonna come up with some kind of countermeasure to counter it.
Yeah, but what they're not going to do is take away any of the stats that are currently associated with the Reaper. So everything math-wise with the Reaper. So your detection range on the Reaper and your current cloaking is not going to be affected in any way, shape or form when they do this change. There's going to be a different type of change which is going to limit the amount of situations that they'll be available to you when base prepping. So there's going to be some sort of counter put in instead. What that counter is going to be, we have no idea. All we know is that they're not going to nerf them as an actual whole. They're going to put in something to counter it. So it's good news and sort of marginally good news, hopefully.
Well, I mean, it's a much better way to handle the situation because then they're not screwing the people that, you know, paid for the retrofits and paid for the, you know, the Reapers to be built, and, you know, I mean, that's a much better option to me than them just changing it out of the blue.
Oh, for sure, definitely. I 100% agree. You know, obviously I've got mine built. I've got a lot of people in my alliance that have got them built and sort of gone down that sort of route to add to their gameplay instead of going and building other stuff. So it's good to know that they're not going to nut them and make them completely useless, and they're going to add something in that's going to counter it in bases. Hopefully, that being said, it's not going to be something that's too overpowered so that it just makes them completely useless still. Hopefully it's going to be something that's quite balanced.
Cool. All right, well, let's move on then. Larry, do you have any update slides, or are you going to go straight into the raid?
I'm going to go straight into the raid.
Cool.
Because
go right ahead,
that's what
buddy.
we care about. All right, so this first slide, I tried to distill the info from the mission brief and the Kickside Tips post. So first of all, when you're fighting the Reavers, remember they have a lot of radioactive resistance. Missiles and UAVs and ballistics have been most effective. Mortars and rockets have trouble hitting the Reavers because they're just too fast. It sounds like the mission or the raid format is going to be similar to the previous raids. You've got a recon, strike, and siege campaign available based on your level. I didn't put it on the slide, but you've also got an elite campaign still. And they said very clearly in the briefing that co-op will be available for all the campaigns. I think last time strike and recon could not do co-op. And then you've got the world map targets. It sounds like go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just said, so the campaigns, when it says all campaigns, that's including the ones not for the raid, right? I mean, that's the way I take it.
No, I didn't take it that way.
Oh, okay. Because when I read the post in the forums, it said all campaigns, so I took that as,
I think that might have been a bit of wishful thinking there, Ben, to be honest.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's nothing in the campaigns that I need, but I mean, I know
a lot of people would have loved a chance at co-oping the Snowfall campaign in order to get their hands on the Proto-Mastodon, because the Kraken's somewhat of a beast, and I still think that it should be available co-op, because it's a bit harsh on some of the mid-range players that don't have tech to do it, especially with the time limit available as well, of it only being an hour to get that mastery prize. It's just too short a time for something like the Kraken in there, to be honest. But it's what they've decided, so it's up to them, I suppose.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Larry.
All right, you've got the world map targets similar to last time, but it sounds like they changed the Reaver mothership a bit. It still has the relay that warps in other ships, but it's also probably going to have the new Locust UAV, which we've seen from unofficial sources, but is not available to us yet.
It's a beast.
Yeah, it looks like it does a lot of damage. So I would suggest if you're going after motherships, make sure you have some countermeasures to cut the UAVs. The other change, and now this was my wishful thinking, I read the tips post or the raid briefing, and I thought dredges were going to be available throughout the whole raid event. And then that was edited to say that the dredge fleet would be available on its usual schedule. So on Friday through Saturday, per the usual.
Which
and
this is the first time for that, right?
Yeah, and I think that's really nice because you can do the dredges and you can do them at half repair.
Yeah, I mean, I really liking this idea, to be honest.
Yeah. I have a feeling they're going to be a little more hotly contested.
Well, I've just topped all mine off, but I'm going to use all mine getting Grease Monkey screws to help me out during the raid. So, I'd like to top mine back up again at half repair. That'd be lovely.
Yeah.
And I think, really good job, Kicks. I'll pat you on the back for that one. It's something that you should have kept in there from the start, really. It's nice to see it in there, and I hope it stays as well.
Yep. And then the other thing they talked about, and this is new in the mission brief, are these Reaver platform targets. And it's not clear to me, maybe someone else has another opinion, that whether these new targets are going to be in the campaigns or whether they're going to be world map targets. So we'll have to wait and see. To me, they seemed a lot like, or they sounded a lot like dredges. You know, those weapons I listed off here are basically the weapons on the dredge platforms. So I don't know if they're going to look just like a dredge or if they're going to look like a base with a channel, but we'll have to wait and see.
I think in one of the posts I read, it said something to do with abandoned draconian hubs, like the Forsaken mission targets. Like,
Yeah.
Abandoned draconian outposts is what it said. So it could mean anything. There might be something similar to what we've seen during the Arctic campaigns, but with Reavers in there. You know, it's, could be nice. It could be interesting for sure.
Yeah, you know, the Doomrooster was saying that he was liking what he had seen on the preview from their own internal previews, and that it was more like a puzzle and less like you're being charged by 15 Reavers at the start of a fight. And so I'm looking forward to that change, and maybe this is part of it, but we'll just have to wait and see.
I mean, definitely, more targets the better. You know, it keeps you from getting bored. You know, changing it up as long as they're not over the top.
Right. And the last bit, I just want to put it on here that don't forget about doing campaigns at half repair. Snowfall is new. I've waited. I haven't done Snowfall yet, but I do want some Protomastodons, so I'm going to do those during this raid.
Me too.
Yeah. All right, moving on. This is my favorite slide of the evening. Know your enemy. So there was a post, the Tips and Tricks post went through what they called the Reaver War Host, referring to the whole roster of ships. So these are the major ship types. You'll see some smaller ones in the lower campaigns, but these are the major ship types. This is the type of damage they deal. This is the type of damage they're vulnerable to. And then some of them are these command field or command ships that have the special symbol. And the command field gives a bonus to all the other ships in the fleet. So you may want to focus fire on the command ships to take those out. When I looked at this chart, it kind of helped me because what I realized is that a lot of these Reaver targets, and maybe it's not a surprise to you guys, but I was surprised when I saw it in front of me, they're doing radioactive damage and they're doing explosive damage. And really, you know, the Hulk and the Sapper and the Hellhounds, those are the ones I worry about the most, you know. So if you're looking for some last-minute tune-ups or something, you might want to focus on radioactive and explosive damage resistance.
Yeah, I think the Fallout armor is going to be pretty good for it, I expect.
Yeah, Fallout definitely.
That gives you explosive missile and radioactive defense, so that's going to be a good shout if you've managed to pick that up in the Forsaken missions.
Yep. Their vulnerabilities don't help too much, again, because in the previous formats you really couldn't choose your targets and retreat and send different fleets, but this is all over the map. But it's good to know. So there you have it. So cool. Next I'm going to go through the new prizes. I'm starting with the Unshackled Hellhound. And this one is a flagship only, and it is a limited hull, but you can redeem this up to 5 times. So if you want to have 5 Unshackled Hellhound fleets, you could. It's based on the Hellhound, Its basic stats are similar. I didn't put up a chart just because it was really similar. I did make one for the blog. It's got more evade and more resist. It's got no splash bonus, no slow resistance, and it doesn't have the turret defense. It overloads like a Hellhound. It has the radioactive buff like a Highlander. It has an alpha strike like a Grimshine Wrath, but it's got a different sort of trigger. So here, you got to look at this carefully. 5 overloads trigger an alpha strike weapon that does the damage and stun. So instead of, the Grimshine Wrath needed 4,500 damage to trigger its alpha strike. This one, you need this overload level 5, and as far as I know, the only other ship that will overload like this is a Hellhound. Right, guys?
Yeah, so it
Yep.
means that all 5 triggered at the same time, doesn't it?
Right. So in order to get the Unshackled to trigger this alpha strike, you need it to be leading a fleet of 4 Hellhounds, as far as I can tell. The other thing I noticed with the strike is that it's got a splash rating of 100, which I think, if I understand Kixeye, means that its range is 100. So that's longer range than the Wrath, because the Wrath only has a 60 range on its alpha strike. So I don't know how to feel about this this hull. I didn't even redeem Hellhounds. I didn't take them, so I'm really not interested in this ship. But if you got 4 Hellhounds and you want to put this in front of them, it could be pretty powerful, because Hellhounds are pretty powerful already.
Well, one problem with a lot of fleets, Hellhound fleets, going around is, I guess you could build this and just, set it at the entrance and, not take it all the way in for the bonuses, but then you wouldn't really get the full effect. You'd have to, a lot of fleets are built for Hellhounds, so you'd have to refit your Hellhounds to fit this into your fleet. You know what I'm saying? On
Yep.
a lot of people, the way a lot of people built them. I got the Hellhound. I was going to build them, but when I started seeing pictures of repair time, and I ended up not building them. I'm not going to go for this. I could get it as a trophy, but I'm kind of past that in the game now. Rob, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Unless you really have a plan to build this ship, I wouldn't bother winning 1, never mind 5. Personally, I never even bothered with the Grimshine's Wrath because I knew I wouldn't be building it anytime soon. I think there's better priorities in the raid that you can go for if you're looking to get it done quick or not to spend as much on it. I wouldn't say this is a priority prize, this raid.
I mean, obviously it's going to be a priority for people that have got Hellhounds, but, with the increasing cost of the game, the build times on the Hellhound, the repair times on the Hellhound, yeah, right, when they're skull ranked, you now get a 33% reduction in the repair time. But that's still, because you're going to end up effectively having 5 of them in there, that's going to be a ridiculous amount. It's still going to be like a 24-hour repair, even with the reduction. So,
and this one won't get the reduction.
And this won't get the reduction either, yeah. So, I don't know, really. It's just...
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure it's going to be a powerful ship. And if you had one, you'd probably enjoy using it and make good use of it. I'm just not sure it's really needed. There's other things that you can do in the game where you don't need to have this ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it just depends on where you're at. I mean, kind of like, I think Rob said that, if you want this, get it. I mean, it will be a good addition to your fleet. But I mean, I don't think most people will go for this, especially 5 times. I mean, we have enough limited flagships anyway. I mean, pretty soon we're going to have more flagships than we have fleets. You know, I think it's kind of comical.
Yeah, the one thing I thought of that any player could use this for is, some people build a Highlander with, just a shell, right, to give the reload and defense bonuses. And so you could do that with this hull if you don't have a Highlander. Maybe you're an up-and-coming player who just couldn't earn it last time it was offered, and you could get this.
That's a really good piece of advice. Or even if you've just got one Highlander, or even if you do have two and you want a second or a third, for those benefits, if you've got maybe one as an attacking fleet and you want to have one in guard for some radiation defense or something, you've got that option, haven't you?
Yeah, it does take longer to build than the Highlander, though. I checked.
Mm.
All right.
Go ahead.
Moving on. Let's talk about the Crusader. So this is a new ballistic hull. Looks a little bit like a Vindicator, but it's a lot better. So it's a heavy hull. It's you see its max weight is 13,000 tons. It's got a lot of defense. I did make a chart for this one. What really jumped at me was that it's got the 4th special slot. 4 armor slots, 8 weapon slots. It's got the configuration of a interceptor, basically. So that's really good for special ballistic hull. Again, heavy, lots of armor. Pretty good speed. I colored it red because it was slower than the Vindicator or the Stingray, but still 13 speed isn't exactly slow. Not much on the turn speed. Good penetrative defense. It's got a little bit of radioactive defense. But then it's got some unique benefits for ballistics. It's got 40% range, 75% reload, 50% damage. That's all really good. 40% range is just excellent. You can get bypass chain guns up to, I think, 95 range with hardened barrel or nuclear accelerators. So that's a fantastic range. But then you've got this accuracy thing, and we don't know the details yet, but it talks about range finders. They get progressively more accurate with repeat fire on the same target. And it shows this concentrated fire cap at 50%. So keep shooting at something till it's dead. I think that's what most players do against most targets anyway.
But the more you shoot at it, the quicker it's going to die.
That's right. You shoot it a little bit, let it off the hook.
Don't stop firing, whatever you do.
It's an amazing new thing. You shoot at it more and it dies quicker. It's amazing.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
But in one sense, I would say a lot of people use a 0 key, don't they, in Fleet v Fleet? This might encourage people to target fire more.
Yep.
Well, but the 0 key, each ship in your fleet is still firing at a single target.
This is true. It does. It goes. It'll select each individual target, won't it? So for however many ships you've got in your fleet.
That's a good point.
Yeah. But yeah. So accuracy bonus is good, especially against evade fleets. I noticed the build time on this was better than any of these other ballistic hulls, so that's good. So, I've never been a big ballistic user, but I think this hull's pretty good.
One thing I want to say about this that I don't like is the way it looks. It looks disgusting.
Okay. I was actually, when I saw this, I got kind of excited about it. I don't know why. Back in the day when, Thud Seawolves ruled the seas, Autoloader 3 and Hardened Barrel 3 and Engine 3, man, it just kind of made me think about those days. And, the build time's good. 4 days, that's decent if you don't go crazy and put, some kind of siege ballistic weapon on there, I mean, your build time is going to be excellent. And the 4 weapon slots, I mean,
Special.
yeah, sorry, 4 special slots. I mean, that's huge. And these new specials we got in the campaigns, what'd you call it? You said it a minute ago.
Nuclear accelerators.
The nuclear accelerator, man. You put that on there, and you still got 3 specials left. I mean, I think it could be. I mean, you're going to have to be picky about what the build that I have in mind would be, fleet versus fleet, but I'm sure there'll be some decent basers that, you could do with this maybe.
I think as well with the 4 armor slots, even if you didn't want to get your repair too high, and obviously you fill that with armor, you're going to start to add to repair. Don't forget you can just put light armors on, even just 4 D2Es. It would give it its evade bonus, would keep the repair low for a moderate fleet v fleet ship.
Yep.
I think something else that is quite interesting is that it's got the same range modifier as the Goliath has got as well. So I mean, if you've not really got anything that you want to use in your base, I mean, you could put these together and have them in your base, and the speed's quite good on them. If you were on to drive as a lower to mid-level player, it'd be quite nice, I expect.
And at least the repair modifier is just 100%. So.
Yeah.
And I think 12.5 million points is quite reasonable as well. It's not a ridiculous amount like we've seen in the past. It's kind of reminding me when nuclear cruisers came out and they were like 12 mil or something, weren't they? So was the Berserker, I think, and they all started going up and up after that. It's nice to see a reasonably priced ship as well.
Yeah, it's about par for a tier 5 hull. Yeah.
You like it, Larry? I mean, you said all the stats about it.
I do like it. I'm gonna get it. I don't know if I'm gonna build it soon, but I do like it. And I've been talking up the SCX lately, and this hull definitely blows away the SCX. So.
Also, just comparing it to the SCX, remember the SCX is already R10. I'm sure at some point this is going to see R5 and R10 in the future to make it even better.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to move on. And this is the Arbalest. I think I'm saying it right. So this is a ballistic weapon that is sort of like the crossbow. You don't need to. Not many people know about the crossbow because not many people use the crossbow because the crossbow has a ridiculous build time. But one of the other drawbacks of the crossbow is that you need to stop to fire. So every once in a while you saw it on defense, but I think I've seen a player using a crossbow maybe once or twice since it's been out. Talking about the crossbow, I mean, they can do a lot of damage. If you remember the raiding fleets, you've got the crossbow armed Goliath, and if you get in range of those crossbows, they do hurt. So what's unique about the Arbalest, or that it borrows from the crossbow, is this piercing damage. So what that does is that if the shell from the Arbalest hits a target, it can pierce that target and hit more targets either behind it or on top of it. So the Arbalest, it's not exactly splash, but it will damage all ships if your ships are stacked up. So I computed some DPS numbers and stuff, but if you've got 5 ships stacked up, the piercing damage decays a bit, so it's not like you multiply it by 5, but the damage will affect all ships in the fleet. So let's look at it again. It's got a good amount of damage, building damage, a lot of wall damage, and again, if you've got rows of walls, right, it'll stack up and pierce a few walls in a row. What else? A lot of building DPS, and the build time is long, but not horrible, I'll say.
It's really not that much less than the crossbow. I mean, 9 hours.
Well, that's the crossbow 2, which is heavier. The crossbow 3 was 6 days.
Oh wow, okay.
So I compared this to the crossbow
Significantly better.
2 because the weight was kind of similar.
Okay.
And then I also compared it to the bypass 3. The bypass 3 is quicker to build and it's got that nice salvo. But the bypass won't have that piercing that this gun has.
I mean, just looking at it, I mean, depending on what kind of fleet you got, you might put a couple of these on just to eat through walls, to help you, get through walls with, your hellhounds or, whatever, maybe, I'm just randomly talking here, but your hell strikes, it help you eat through them because, I mean, 10,000 wall damage per shot, and that will penetrate. Am I correct in saying this, Larry? That you hit the wall and it will penetrate through several layers of wall.
Yeah. When the crossbow first came out, I did a.
Hello.
To how many.
Is it back to normal now?
Oh,
I think Rob dropped out and it all went a bit Pete Tong.
You there, Larry? I think we lost Larry. Well, what do you think about this? Hopefully he can get back in here. Irv, you like this weapon?
Yeah, I mean, it seems pretty good. It's got quite a nice range in it, up to 50. Obviously, that brings you up to 95 with hardened barrels or nuclear accelerators on there. Does a decent amount of damage, and I think it'll pierce up to 4 or 5. I think it is different targets. It's going to be good.
Just while we wait for Larry, Ben, someone's asked you a question on the chat. I don't know if you've seen it. They've asked what you think about enforcers being used in the raid. Just thought I'd point it out to you.
I mean, why not? I mean, if you got them, I mean, they're already half repair, and then you get half repair again. So,
Yeah.
Whoever asked that question, if you go back and watch the show and look at Larry's, slide about the targets and the damage. The only thing is, hopefully you got them cryos on there because the launchers, the S, the F, and the N, they don't do nothing. I mean the damage to the, the Reaver ships, they must have like 90%, radioactive defense. So, it just depends on what you have on them. But yeah, definitely use them.
Yeah, it was Michael Peters who asked, and I'd say as well. I did it a couple of raids ago. I just kind of you could even instant repair almost. Put a zombie amount of life into them, maybe 5-minute repair or something like that. Go out there, get some points, and then repair and repeat.
Yeah, Larry, you can.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys.
Okay. No,
I must have had a bandwidth issue.
Well, Rob dropped out, but we were good. Go ahead. We didn't hear anything you said, so you can say it all again.
I think when I cut out, I was talking about a calculator I had once done for the walls, piercing walls.
Yeah,
the piercing. That.
Yeah, it's a piercing thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So this can be a good weapon, especially on one of these high range bonus ballistic hulls.
Cool.
All right. Should we keep
Go
rolling?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Combustion trigger. So this is another Tier 4 prize. This is something you mount to water-based buildings. It does explosive damage and creates a fire pool when it's destroyed. And it's got a range of 50 on its splash damage and range of 30 on that fire pool. So I'm not too excited about this one. I'm just gonna say it. Takes 2 days to build, and the I don't think this is going to turn bad bases into good bases. That's fundamentally what I'm going to say about it. What do you think, guys?
So you can put this on any your oil rigs, and then what, when it's destroyed it leaves a fire pool.
Yeah, it's got an explosive damage and then a fire pool.
And it's does it say anything about how long it stays there?
No, it doesn't.
Huh. Well, I mean, what do you think about putting this? If you put all your oil rigs in your channel and you put this on all of them, and if the fire pool stays there, I mean, that could cause some damage to a fleet.
My only problem with that, Ben, is think about retargeting. If someone was to go
I
around
was
the outskirts
just
of your
about to
base
say
with
exactly the
missiles,
same.
yeah, they'll retarget off your oil rigs, maybe take a turret, maybe even some of your guard fleet, depending on how your base is laid out. But
Yeah, I mean,
I
it's
think
something you've got to seriously think about if you're going to be putting this on stuff and you're going to think that it's going to help you out. You need to look at the ways that it's not going to help you out by putting oil rigs and stuff in the channel. I mean, maybe at the entrance for like hawks coming in and stuff like that, somewhere, that they've got to take it out so that if you designed your base so that they come in quite close in on your base.
the main thing I thought
on
about
your
this
entrance.
is obviously any kind of base will outrange it, and I'm not sure it's going to last long enough for them to do that much damage. I think with subs, they can still outrange it with the torpedoes, but if you put it on a bend, somewhere where you're not likely to be prone to retargeting on your base guard or your turrets, but if you put it on one of your corners in your base, so the subs have to go through it, it will at least damage them a little bit, perhaps.
Yeah, what's the reload about? Props in the chat asked that, and he makes a good point. What's that?
Well, that's an excellent question, and I read it at first, and I was wondering myself if this actually shot anything out, but I don't think so.
It's confusing if it has a reload. I mean,
Yeah.
it almost suggested it's going to be constantly sending out some kind of fire pit until it's killed.
Can I just say that maybe that reload time might be the effect that it lasts, possibly?
It's
For the
possible.
patch, for the fire patch, maybe? I mean, obviously, we're only surmising at the minute because we don't actually know how it works. We haven't seen it in action or anything, so it's quite hard to sort of give any real massive advice about it, other than what we can really surmise from the figures that we've got in front of us, really.
Yeah, it's just speculating, but all right, go ahead, Larry.
Yep. All right. I think next. Well, that's it for the raid. So before I go on to this exciting bug fixes and whatnot, do you want to talk anything else about the raid?
Well, does anybody have anything, tips or suggestions they want to give everybody before we move on about the raid? It's the same ones we've been having, but any tips?
Grim and Atlas have been working really good. If you can get a hold of some Grease Monkeys crews, get hold of them. Don't use them until you've got the raid sorted. If you're going to use them, make sure you make the most of them, so that if you've only got a certain amount of money to spend for the raid, make sure that you're spending the money during the time that your Grease Monkey's running to get the biggest benefit out of it and get points bumped up quick.
I would say as well, I can't remember the name of the crew. That new limited, Death from Above actually. If anyone's got Death from Above and doesn't know what to do with it, if you've got UAVs, it would be really useful to use it in the raid.
Yeah, because it looks really cool as well, because all your UAVs go gold and stuff, and it's like 15. Is it 15% critical hits or something like that?
Yep, and it adds 35 range to chaining, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, my Harlocks don't have power cells, so I'm really looking forward to trying out the crew. So, I think my advice would be to use crews in general. I think that's something a lot of players don't use enough, myself included. You know, they save all their crews and just you know, don't use them. I mean, use them. You know, you got Deadeye destroyers, get the 15% critical hit. You got, I don't know, silent hunters, take the 10% speed. Bullseye is fantastic if you got a missile fleet, right? There's all kinds of crews that do great things, and so use them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a filthy coiner, as people like to call it. So I spend a lot of uranium on crews, and I pretty much every time I step out of my base, I've got a crew on for something, because they make so much difference in everything. In not only just in raids, just in doing anything really. And again,
Yeah,
they can be so helpful.
In the arena, I mean, I ran only with a crew in the arena, and I think anytime I came up against a fleet that did not have a crew, I beat it. I mean, any fleet, period. No crew, you lost.
Well, you know, even if you roll in the basic, you know, I'm not real good with all the crew names, but you know, the one crew with the guy with the light torch, that gives you 10% defense and penetrative.
Yep.
It's 3 categories. It gives you, I mean, 10%. I mean, that's
Steelheads gives you missile, ballistic, explosive, and 10% concussive, I think, maybe.
Yeah, and I mean,
it doesn't give you radioactive defense, but gives you all the rest.
Yeah.
Well, you know, if the Reavers are going to be firing these locusts at you, I mean, that's going to help you, and it's a cheap crew to get.
Yep.
Yeah. Any crew's better than none. Even if you haven't got a bonus crew for defenses or damage, even just assaulty dogs, you know, it's better than not using anything. You're at least doubling your XP. However little it is, it's still double the amount that you're going to get back.
Yep.
Yeah, and with the whole ranking system now relating to repair as well, if not now, in the future, you know, any extra of the XP you can get is going to be a bonus to you.
Yep. Well, cool. Anything else before we move on?
I think the other, thing I used during the last raid that was pretty successful for me, was I used one tank ship along with zombie mastodons, and so I'd come into a fight and turn those zombie mastodons away, and I was using a frostburn, so it helped keep incoming ships off the mastodons, and so I was doing that over and over, and it was maybe a little slower than running with a full fleet, but I think I did that raid a little more cheaply than certain other people. So
yeah,
it worked well.
For sure, if you're running mastodons, they don't need to be right up in the fight. You know, you just need your tank being up there right in the fight. So that's the only thing you need to have repaired. You can go in, just stick a few seconds of life on your mastodon, send them straight back out again. That'll save you loads of cash right there.
You can even use seawolves spotters. Instant repair. They'll probably take next to no damage and they'll be dead, but you can send them in one at a time, and if you've ranked up your mastodons, they're going to fire a hell of a lot of volleys before the battle's over.
That's right. I'm going to try out, I'm going to mix it up. I've got a Grimshine Berserker now and a Grimshine Wrath, so I might try both of those and see if they work better than my Frostburn, but that's going to be my plan. See which one of those works best.
I mean, the one thing with the Frostburn that's always the bonus is obviously it's going to put out any fires, isn't it? It's always a bonus. It's going to get rid of any of those radioactive patches that are left on the ground. So, that's one of the massive things with the Frostburn that you want to keep. And obviously, it's reducing your need for using an engine arbiter as well, isn't it? So, you get to 2-in-1, no-brainer really.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Larry, you want to do the changes, bug fixes, and tuning?
Yeah, I'll blow through this real quick. I mean, there were a few that I guess I at least noticed. Again, highlighted those in red. I noticed this one a while back. I put a post on the crib page that high-level players could hit the 40 level dredges, and apparently that was a bug. When they added sector influence boosted dredges, they forgot to add in the fact that high-level players weren't supposed to hit those 40s. So they fixed that. Can't hit them anymore. So there's that. The Apocalypse mortar doesn't appear as a meteor mortar in the base planner. I pointed that one out just in case anybody was getting confused in their base planner. And then the other one I pointed out was this last one. Fixed where the base repair pop-up might not be displayed upon first loading your base after being attacked. And I would run into this every once in a while. I'd be attacked but couldn't repair my base. I had to go to the world map or reload or something before I could repair. So they fixed that.
Yeah, I had a problem with that a little while back where for a week I couldn't repair my base, so I was gutted.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm happy to see that one.
I gotta say, the one that stuck out to me was, I don't know, I like whenever I hit my OP, I never hit name change ever, and it seemed like last week I did it like 5 times and I had to refresh every time. I was like, I never do this. That was funny. Go ahead, Rob. You got something to share?
Yes, I do. I'll screen share. Let me know if you can see. Can you see that?
Yep.
We have a raid video.
Oh.
Just been Joel from chat just sent me this. Just from what I can take of this so far, the fleets are static when you enter, so it gives you time to kind of get yourself organized. Larry with his Mastodons and Zombie fleet would really like that. Gonna pause it here. Here we have a Reaver base. It looks like the level 65 stronghold in its layout. You can see it's got some guards. I can see some hellhounds and some hulks. The turrets, I can see some javelins, some Reaver rockets, and the Apocalypse mortars, and there's some napalm turrets. So nothing that we're not familiar with.
I gotta say, that's cool looking. I like the color.
Yeah, it looks cool as hell.
Yeah, it does look pretty good, doesn't it?
It does look really cool.
So I just thought I'd show that. This is the cannon in action. I'm sure people will watch this video themselves, but I just thought while we're talking about it.
Yeah.
That's cool seeing how it's cut through the wall though.
Yeah, it rips through them level 6 walls. It makes me wonder if they're going to bring out level 7s or anything.
Yeah.
And this is the Crusader in a base hit. Obviously the base isn't the highest of levels, but like we were saying, low to mid levels would like it. I really like the range on that thing. It looks good.
That's a pretty popular design, though, of a base.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the build that they've suggested here, you can see the armors aren't actually that big in number, and they've still got 11,000 armor. It's got 2 compound plates, 2 what looks like D2Es, 6 cannons, a speed system, compound, reflective, the new nuclear accelerator, is that right? And 2 phalanx. So, it's not going to be that big of a build time, I wouldn't say.
Man, those look sweet cutting through the walls like that.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Yeah, they look pretty cool. Pretty nasty.
You can see as they hit an Enforcer as well, they're doing more damage.
And we go with Hellhound. Okay, the Unshackled Hellhound.
It's not giving us a build time on that.
Can't really make it out between the other Hellhounds, can you?
No, you can't. I mean, obviously, I'd suggest people will look through. We'll put the link on our page. I'll put it up right now, actually. Let's just show you the Pinch Rocket, which you've already seen on the Grim Wrath, but... So yeah, that's
cool.
that.
Hey!
I thought I'd show that.
Thanks, Rob. That was cool.
That was cool. Awesome. Well, I'll tell you real quick, you want to give us your quick impressions there, Larry, of the video?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. The thing that really bugs me the most about the Reaver events is the fact that they just charge all over you right from the start. And so if you're talking about a stronghold or ships sitting in the water that you can sort of pick and choose how to attack. I really like events like that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this even more than I was before.
Yeah, I actually look forward to attacking the graphics. I just was impressed with that. Earth, what do you think?
I think it's awesome. I think graphics are brilliant. I'm same as Larry. Really glad that they're not going to be charging you straight away. It's definitely going to be the best one to date. I think really.
Rob, any thoughts?
It's good.
Pretty much same as what you said. It looks good. I'm impressed with it. I always like to see different things. I get bored easily. So, a few months of hitting the same thing is quite tedious. It's nice to see a change, and it looks pretty. So, yeah.
Larry, you want to share? Are you going to start? Are you going to start sharing your slides before the show to everybody? You want to talk about that or no?
Yeah, I can talk about that. So what I did, I keep all this stuff in a Google Drive folder. I've opened that Google Drive folder up to be viewable by the public, and the link is in the sidebar of my blog. I can show you guys all where it is. I don't know if we're going to put it on the on the crib page. But here, I'll just do a screen share real quick. So here you go. If you go to my blog, that's at bpprof.blogspot.com, and under the sidebar here, useful BP tools, if you click on BP Crib Hangout slides, you will be taken to this folder where you can see all the slides from all the shows, and I'll keep putting them in here.
That's awesome.
That's
and
wicked.
really, for your BP nerds out there, no offense, Larry, but you can open these up, and as we're talking about it, you can follow along. Because I know with the Hangout screen, it's hard to, the YouTube, screen, it's hard to follow, with the print's so small. But you can actually open this up and pull it up and watch with us. I think that's cool. It's an awesome idea, Larry. Really.
All right.
So we're at the end of the show. Before we conclude, I just want to say, y'all talked about it last night, but the guy that deleted his Reapers, that scrapped his Reapers, oh my gosh, that was so funny watching that. If you
I want
haven't
to thank him for making me laugh so hard that I nearly fell off my chair.
I mean, if you haven't seen it, go to it's on the crib, the crib page, the Alliance crib page. And, it's been within the last day or two. Dude scraps all 4 of his Reapers, and then, 3 hours later, they come out and say, we're not going to change it now. And I just thought, ouch! Oh!
If anybody can find it for me and just give it a cheeky little bump to the top of the page.
Yeah, that was classic right there. And like the guy said, that goes to show you, that guy definitely let his emotions get a hold of him. But
it shows the frustration of the player base, though.
Yeah.
And thank you for demonstrating that on our behalf. I've just found it. It's on the Alliance Club. I just bumped it up to the top.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well,
I want to say as well, Rig Pig says goodbye. I found Rig Pig in his day job. Well, as you can see, the more post questions you get, the more undressed he becomes.
Oh no! Thank you. No.
Any English folk in pubs will understand what that is all about.
Yeah. Ewok couldn't stay for the end of the show, but Panda wants to say goodnight. Good night.
Good night, Panda. Well, listen, that's the end of the show. As always, we do this to help the community. If y'all have any ideas, you're more than welcome to message us or post it on the page. Visit Larry's BP Professor blog. Huggy, we always use Huggy's site for ship builds, and just trying to make the game better for everybody because we're a community and that's what it's about. So, good night,
Also,
guys. Go
Can
ahead,
I
Arf.
just say one more thing? I am going to be looking at putting a couple of, builds up on the page in the next couple of weeks. I'll put one up for the new ship, just a sort of a build that you can play about with and see what you think of it. If there's anything in particular that you guys want to see, please just message us on the BP Crib page. We'll stick some builds up for you. I've had a lot of people asking about V2Hs and stuff, so I'm going to start putting a couple of those builds up. And if you want something in particular, don't forget to message us, and we can help you out.
Yep, cool. Thanks, guys.
Pretty
Have a
much
good
what
one.
I'd say, really.
See you
Night.
later.
Thanks for coming. Catch you all later.